Well, this is Landeck, a town of some 7,500, dating back to 1800 BC. But today, a centre for tourism, also farming. The mountains around here climbing to some 3,000 metres, and the water coming off the snowfield and glaciers. But most recently in the past week, it's the rain that's brought the river to a high level. But today, just about perfect for racing. The confluence in Landeck of two rivers. On the right of your screen there is the River Inn on the left, and you can see as we take you down the 4,000-metre course, the River Sana, on which today's competition will be decided. Well, alongside me to put his expert eye on the world's best downriver racers, it's my colleague from the British team, Makon Singh, who I should immediately explain would be out there on the water but for a reoccurring injury which has pushed him out of competition. Makon, commiserations, but nonetheless welcome as we see the first man get away, Stanislav Hajski for the Czech Republic. Off the start here, and now coming into this crucial section, Makon, at Piogge.
Yeah, this is a very hard part of the river. You've got some really big waves there, and to paddle on one side and keep the boat straight and running down towards the finish all the time, it's quite tested. It's one of the most testing rivers in the world, and the way they keep the boat straight is phenomenal. I mean, I've tried it myself. I've been on there. That's where I re-injured my shoulder earlier this week in official non-stop practice. And if you watch here, the way he's pulling through the waves there, it really does take a lot of effort. It's not an easy part.
So coming to the first little check there, and you can see 3:27.49 for the man from the Czech Republic. It's less than halfway down the course, but this is a section where you lose time, you don't make it. But now we've joined him live down towards the last minute of the course, coming towards the finish line. Constant work rate here, Makon, as he comes to set the target for the rest to chase.
I think he's quite a good paddler. The Czech Republic has come on quite well. I don't think he's going to be too high up on the rankings. He's done well to get down.
Yes, we've been looking for a time in the order of about 12 minutes from the best, who from the non-stop training are seeded to start last in the race.
Correct. Some of them have taken an early start because they think the river will be higher earlier in the morning. As the day wears on, the river's dropping all the time, so I think if they have an early start time, they will get a better time. But that's a gamble that they take because they might be seeded after a slow paddler, and that might work against them, you see.
Yes, tactics have come into training here. It doesn't always play a part, but it certainly has this week. A week packed of incidents here, as we see 27-year-old Stanislav just getting out to the boat there. He's been kneeling in that canoe all the way down. And that boat, a pretty valuable item. There have been too many paddlers who've lost boats here, and you're looking at something which would cost you £1,500, state-of-the-art technology, Kevlar.
Yeah, ballistic-grade Kevlar on carbon fibre. It's the same technology that goes into Formula 1 racing cars. And here we go. Samuel, he's a very good French paddler. He's going to do very well, I think. He's young, he's very keen, and he's very strong. He lost his boat in official non-stop practice because he broke his paddle. Here you see him coming through Pians.
Just picking his way on the right-hand side, just trying to clip the big waves, looking for that fast tongue of water, and then he's got to switch sides and switch back again to the right here. So it's constant alertness in these big waves with a bow diving down. You can probably only see one or two waves ahead, can't you, Makon?
Yes, when you're in there, you can't see very much. The waves are much bigger than they look. When you're actually kneeling in your boat and you're in the rapid itself, it looks very intimidating. It's not the kind of thing that you take lightly. When you're in there, you don't think of anything else. I think he's taken it a little bit easy there because, as I say, he broke his paddle in official non-stop practice, lost his boat, so he's in a new boat. He's taken it easy, but I'm sure he'll fly once he gets it. Well, he's dropped his paddle there. If you see him, he might have hurt himself during practice, so he dropped his paddle there. I think he is nervous. Once he gets over his once he's through Pians, I think he'll pick it up. He's a very good paddler. Would like to see his split time there.
Yeah, just looking for him at the moment now as he comes down to the last section now. Very, very angry at losing his boat. Here he comes. He's up within the last minute of the race now. He was 12 seconds up on the starter, Stanislav Hajski, which was to be expected. And you can see here, this is a much more representative time. He's picked up time on the Czech on this way down. It's by no means, flat all the way down from Pians. It's work all the way. There's some tricky turns and tricky rapids, but that mistake with the paddle there, those are precious seconds that he really can't afford to lose, because he is one of the best of the French. Switching blades from the other side as he comes down here, be really tired, the arms will be really aching, Macon.
I'm sure his arms will be full of lactate there, but that last minute is where he'll give absolutely everything. As you can see, he hasn't got much left. Looking up to the scoreboard, seeing how he's done. I'm sure he'll be high up on the rankings there, but maybe he was a bit nervous after having his swim. He's one of the few paddlers that switches. Some people like to stay on one side. It's just a new thing that's come in to C1 paddling lately, that people switch. I personally don't have the confidence to change paddles when I'm halfway through a rapid. And here on the start you see Jean-Luc Bataille, one of the older paddlers on the French team, a very good paddler, been around for a long time. I'm surprised he made the team again, because the French always have young paddlers, always got young paddlers coming through.
And Bataille now into this Pians section. 36 years of age, as you say, bags of experience, picked up fourth place in 1991 when the World Championships visited Slovenia on the Soche and Boveč.
Here we see him going through the rapids. I think he's looking a lot more confident than Samuel Nardon. He's a very experienced paddler. He likes the rough. He just gets on and does it. Maybe he didn't have a swim, so he's obviously more confident. He's got a fairly unstable boat, same as Samuel Nardon.
But just look at the time there, Macon. He's just about 3 seconds down on his teammate. And now we see him live coming down to the finish. Now, certainly Nardon picked up pace here. And you can see Bataille, he's now chasing that time at the bottom of your screen there, 12:50.61 to depose his own teammate. Bataille, who restarted this year after the 91 World Championships. He packed it in, but he's got the appetite back, and he's been in training. Finished 11th in the World Cup, the season-long competition that preceded these championships this season. Coming in, it's going to be very close, but Nardon, he's just got it. And Bataille goes into second place, so the narrow advantage he had at Pians, Nardon the quicker on the final 2,000 metres.
I think they've both done very well. The French team always have exceptionally good paddlers. I don't think Bataille is slow by any stretch of the imagination. I think you'll see a few faster paddlers come through.
So number 5 to start, the first of the Americans, Chris Osmond, another man with bags of experience, 39 years of age, from Nantahala in North Carolina. Not too far away from the River Coe in Tennessee, which will host this year's Olympic slalom, which you'll be able to see on Eurosport. But here's a man who really hasn't got the technique or indeed the confidence of the French and German stars.
No, as you see, his boat's going sideways down the rapids. It's not the idea of the game. The idea is to point the boat towards the finish and just pull very hard. As you see, he's leaning on his paddle there. He hasn't really got the strength to pull him through. They're leaning on his paddle again. He's not confident. When you see people leaning on their paddle, they're taking a breather. They're making sure they don't flip. And you can see he's well down there, well down.
Half a minute to make up, but good to see the United States in the Wild Water Championships. Like every nation in most sports, they have a time when their turn comes round. At the moment, the Americans, as you say, a little bit on the dark side of the moon in downriver racing, but they hosted a very successful World Championships in 1989. And here again, a close-up chance to look at Bataille. And here's a man who's not commanding the waves, he's being pushed about by them. And waiting for him, I just wonder whether he's run into troubles or he's just very slow down the low section. long way to go. The best man, here he comes.
Da kommt wieder.
Osmond, I should say, apologies if I've confused you there. Chris Osmond from Nantes. He did actually compete in the last World Championships, which were just 12 months ago on the River Tryweryn in Bala in North Wales, finished 26th there. And I don't see him finishing much higher than that today.
No, I don't think so. His stroke rate's very slow here. You see, he's not really gunning for the finish. He hasn't got the urge to win or the fitness there. You see, he's almost drifting.
What about the kneeling position in the boat? A lot of people always think that must be terribly painful, Michael.
I think it's not a bad position to sit in. Your back is very straight, so you can pull very hard. Whereas in a kayak, you're sitting very low down and your back is bent. Although you've got both sides to paddle on, you're in a narrower boat. And in the C1 class, you've got a wider boat, so that makes up for the instability. But it's quite a nice position to sit in. You're sitting at 6 inches taller than a kayak, so you can see over the waves just that little bit more, and it gives you a nice sense of security, being able to know where you are on the river. Like I've said earlier, when you're in the rapids, it's very hard to know where you are. Here we see the American finishing pretty well down, but I think it's a lot harder than it looks. Good effort all the same.
Next man to start for the Czech Republic, Jaroslav Horinet, another 32-year-old. And
there we see, you see that boat fly up in the air there. The waves are huge. He's in the middle of the river, which is a slower line. I think he's going to have to move river left soon. He should be pushing over towards the side of the river. There you see the waves turning the boat sideways. He wants to point the boat towards the finish, quickest line down the river. It's a time trial, a hard time trial.
You can see he's not going to take over the lead. That's in fact, it was Bataille who was quickest to this point, and Nard, the man who's at the moment finished with the fastest time, but the Czechs not making any impression on the Frenchman at the moment. Coming down towards the finish, a man who showed a flash of form some 6 years ago. He won the pre-Worlds in 1990 before the World Championships in 1991 on Slovenian water, but hasn't really followed that up. Czechs who've got a terrific team in depth here, always great supporters of wild water racing, but they've got better men to come.
I think some of the later paddlers will make an impression on the leaders. Here we have another American. Don't know too much about the Americans this year. It's a new team, but I don't think they're in contention for the medals. They have some very good rivers in America, but it's such a huge place that they don't really have a lot of depth to their team. They have very good paddlers, but then they come and go. And you see him leaning on his paddle there. The waves are quite tricky. In the middle, there's some big rocks. People are being hitting them head on and stopping them dead. Here you see him pulling through the waves, leaning on his paddle slightly, boat's going sideways, just not good. Keep it pointing towards the finish. He's pulling better than the last American though. As you see him, he's disappearing into them waves. You have to pull yourself through. If you stall, the water takes control. Once you lose control, it's not good to be in them rapids.
Well, Tim Samsel, he's 36, he's the faster of the two Americans, but you can see he's 21 seconds behind Nardon, the man who leads the race at this very early stage. This man was a pretty good junior soccer player in his time. He almost got a national team spot when he was spotted at college, but these days he's concentrating on his paddling and earns his living as a teacher and also as a woodworker. He was 15th in this year's World Cup coming into these competitions, 23rd in the world last year in Wales. You can see him dropping down the order now.
You can see he's putting a bit more effort in than the last American guy. He's keeping the paddle in going. You don't want to stall after each stroke. It's what you do when you become tired and you're trying to rest. You can't rest, but you try to. You can't coast. It's not like a bicycle race where you can coast down the hill. You always have to accelerate the boat. You don't always want to stop, so you're constantly accelerating.
He wins the private competition between the two Americans. Nardon, though, still leads.
76 ist damit klar schneller als sein Landsmann. Aber Platz Nummer 5 hat die vor ihm liegenden nicht einholen können. Am Start beim der Weltmeisterschaft
Alexander Kopczyk for Slovakia.
Auf der Sanat
Next man to start. Slovakians beginning to build the team very useful in C2s. We're going to see Vala Slucic, the world champions, a little bit later this morning trying to defend their title. And there's quite a bit of neighbourly rivalry between the Slovakians and the Czechs.
The Slovakians have got a very good team here, but you see him leaning on his paddle there on the top of that rapid. I think he's struggling a little bit.
Yeah. Huge waves, these. You can't really understand it unless you are out on the water, and you can do that here in Landeck. You can go whitewater rafting. And when you get out there, you really get a feeling of what these holes are and how far you just dip down. 18 seconds behind Nardon for the first of the Slovaks, so it might seem a long way, but it's relatively respectable for his experience.
Yes, I think so. I think the Slovaks have some good paddlers to come, but he's one of the younger guys in the team, newer members, so I think he's done very well to get down the course. And here we see him finishing, doing well.
Choice of lines down here, but you're looking for that fast tongue of water. Very, very important. That's what all the practice is about. That's what all the controversy has been about this week, because with the nightly rain and thunderstorms, in fact, last night was the first night in the last 5 when we haven't had any rain overnight. And Kopczyk drops into 5th place at the moment, 54 seconds behind Samuel Nardon of France, who still leads the competition. But there's been a big change in the river almost nightly here. Croatia, with a growing reputation for this sport, their first man away, Robert Rouse, 25 years of age, a locksmith. I wonder whether he can find his way out of Pians.
The Croatians have some very good paddlers. Their ex-world champion hasn't decided to race this year. He's studying, so he thought we'd give this year a miss, but they've got some very good paddlers in their team. For some reason, they seem to all come from Croatia and Slovenia, that kind of part of the world. They've got some very good rivers out there. As you see, pulling through the waves there, doing fairly well.
14 seconds behind Nardon, that's not too bad. This man is the Croatian champion, the man you mentioned before, Thomas Krankovic. Really good paddler there, the poorer for him not being here, but this is not a sport in which these men can earn fortunes, not as yet. And all of them, pretty well all of them, except perhaps in France and Germany, have to hold down a full-time job as well as paddling. This is amateur sport in the traditional Corinthian real sense.
Correct, yes. Most people have taken time off work to race here, so it is a true amateur sport.
Probably 4 or 5 times out on the river every week.
Oh, a lot more than that. Most people train about 10 times a week. I train 10 times a week. That's about all you can do and work.
Slovenians, as you say, and the Croatians, they are fortunate in one sense. They do have good white water where they live on their doorstep. And here's John Willesey, just celebrated his 29th birthday earlier this week, so happy birthday, John. Now, can you give yourself a decent run and a nice little present? There are the mountains, 3,000 metres, not too much snow left there. And here's John coming into Pians.
Yeah, John's a very strong paddler. He's done a lot of slalom in his time. I'm sure he'll do very well here. You can see him pulling hard there, giving it a lot of beans there.
20th in the last World Championships for this RAF engineer from Cosford. Useful man, he was a slalom paddler before he switched to wild water racing.
Yes, he's going strong still.
Just 7 seconds behind Narden, the man who leads, so that's not too bad. And he should, if he can get through this last little section, then put the power on, try and pick up those lost seconds on the way down.
Here we see him coming towards the finish. Let's see if he's got enough in his arms to push the leaders. I don't think he will.
No, he's going to be outside Narden's time, and the difference is to see how much he's actually lost. Remember, he was 7 seconds down at Pians. Coming into the last couple of hundred meters of the race now, looking to grab third place from Stefan Heiski of the Czech Republic.
He should be able to do that. He's only got a few seconds to go now.
And still 3 British competitors in today's competition, so sadly, Macron, you're not out there with them, but the boys will still have the 3 competitors the chance to compete in the team events, which we'll see live on Sunday.
Yes, the team event has 3 paddlers per nation. I would like to have been in it, but that's the way it goes.
Just started, Zelko Petric for Croatia from Zagreb, 23, so again, another of their relatively young men, but a useful paddler. Finished 13th in the World Cup, 12th in the World Championships last year. And before Robert Rouse took over the Croatian national title, this was the man who was the best man in Croatia in 1994 and 1995.
He's paddling very well. He's had the boat the straightest down the rapid, I think. He's not been pointing sideways. A lot of them get the boat thrown sideways by the waves and just allow it to almost drift down. But I think he's pointed the boat towards the finish very, very well.
Ein ganz entscheidendes Teilstück ist, dass er da hinter sich gebracht hat. Das spricht dafür,
good shot. You get a real idea of what he's looking at and looking for there. Coming out river right around this left hand.
Whoa, he's gone! He's gone!
Die
Eskimo roll up. He's come through that just at the end of Pians. And look at that, if that's the truth, 4.43 seconds. That's a remarkable recovery. If he'd done that in the middle of the Pians rapid, the damage might have been more horrendous. But as it is, we have a new leader. Zelko Petric, a momentary loss of concentration, but he's pulled it back.
Let's hope he hasn't messed up his chances for a very good result there by that mistake. And here we see James Lee.
Yes, Jimmy Lee, another 30-year-old engineer, comes from the south of England, Basingstoke way. Getting just outside the top 20 last year. It's a very useful marathon paddler.
Oh, I think he was over there.
Looked very much like that.
He's up, he's going again. Let's hope he can point that boat towards the finish.
Pretty slow early on.
He's done very well this year. He's been going very well in training and all the home races. As you see, he's drawing that boat down the river. Having to keep it constantly online by drawing the boat towards his paddling side. Doing very well.
So Petric leads James Lee on his way down to the finish, and I can give some German supporters a bit of interesting encouragement that their man Olaf Schwartz has started very, very quickly, so looking forward to him. He's made a very, very good start. But here you get a real sense of this speed of this river. It is quick. We reckon something like 25 cubic meters per second.
Yes, you don't want to fall out of your boat. Once you fall out of your boat, it's very little chance of getting it back again. It's a nasty swim in there. And he's paddling very well, James. He's pulling hard. He's pointing his boat towards the finish.
Yes, and the British team strategically placed along the course here will be calling them home. This is Canadian Day, Canadian singles first, Canadian doubles a little later in the morning, and then tomorrow it's all about the women's and men's kayaks We have high hopes there. British fans with Ian Tordoff looking for a good run from him, and good performances also from the British women's team. So Petric at the moment still leading the competition with a time of 12 minutes 46.18. James Lee into 6th place. That's 2 slots down from Britain's John Willesee, but the order, there it is on your screen, top left. It's Petric from Croatia, Naarden for France, ahead of teammate Bataille, Willesee for Great Britain in 4th place, and Heiske, the man who started the morning's action, 5th place. The man who's drawn 13, one of the most popular men in the sport, 43 years of age, but you wouldn't believe it for this man who won the World Championship in 1977 in Spital in Austria.
This is Ernst Lebuda. Very, very good paddler, very strong. As you say, fairly old, but he doesn't look it when he's out there. He's pulling through the waves very well.
Oh, I'd love to be doing as well as he's doing out there now. He really is a superb technician. As well as that World Championship, he got a bronze in 1987 in the World Championships in Bourg Saint-Maurice. And look at that, only 9 seconds behind Petric. Nice rhythm.
I think he's very good on the rough. He's very confident. I don't think he's got the fitness to do exceptionally well here, but to be selected for the German team is hard enough.
Exactly, he was 18th on his comeback last year in Wales. It was great to see him in Great Britain there. Ernst Lebuda making one of the German quartet, 4 per country allowed in the competition, and trying to push John Willesee down, currently in 4th place, as you can see. British team this year supported by Speedo. Welcome support as we see Lebuda just behind Willesee into 5th place. 43 national titles. A terrific career. Olaf Schwartz for Germany. Now, starting number 14, don't believe this position. This is a man who's really planned to start a little bit earlier rather than a little bit later. And look at this, driving down the straight at Pians. Member of the Hamburg Canoe Club. Hasn't really shown anything in the World Cup this year, but he was 4th in Great Britain 12 months ago, just missed out on the bronze medal, and pretty determined to try and put that right today.
I think Olaf's here to get a very good result. He's a very strong paddler. Him and his German teammate Stefan Hofer will be here for medals this year. He's looking strong and he's looking fast.
He's almost recorded a second up as he comes down towards the finish now to take the lead. Schwartz, quick start there, 11.5 seconds into the lead, and we're beginning to get into the section of the race now where things are about to happen. Schwartz, very good paddler, been in the sport for some 13 years, so it's Germany from Croatia and France at the moment, and it was a Frenchman who denied him last year. Robert Klebec for Slovakia, relatively inexperienced, a teenager, 19 years of age, finished 8th in the Junior Worlds 2 years ago, but this is the grown-up sport.
Here you see him coming down the rapid, nice line down. I think he's paddling very well. He's keeping the paddle turning, not stalling on the waves, and the boat is pointing down towards the finish. Not paddling sideways down the river, as you've seen some of the other paddlers.
Looking really focused, you could see the concentration there, and the boat really moving, trying to keep that bow dry. That's pretty impossible round here. He's not the quickest, you can see he's 4.5 seconds behind Schwartz, but that's respectable. He's got the fitness base on the last 1,000 or 2 meters. He could really make an impression here.
I think he's here for a result, same as everyone else, but you can see in training some people are really going for it. Time trialing on these rivers is the ultimate test of truth.
Don't see him deposing Schwartz. changing the line there. You can see, looking for that fast tongue, which takes them from river right to river left. It may look completely illogical, but it isn't, is it, Macon?
No, you can't always see where the river's going from the TV. When you're actually in the rapids, if you're a left-handed paddler, it might favour you to go around the waves, and if you're a right-hander, to cut through them. It really depends on where you think you will get the most advantage.
There he is, river left at the moment. With plenty of spectators here, cutting very tight line, staying river left here, and dropping down. Just gonna miss the podium. Now looking for fourth place, but you can see how tightly packed they are. And John Willis's time standing up nicely at the moment.
Yes, John had a very good result there.
Centre of the river now, down towards, really this is where it aches, and you just got to eke out that last bit of determination.
I think the waves all the way down the river, hitting you in the chest, stopping you dead. You have to re-accelerate all the time. Much harder than it looks.
45 seconds at the end. That's quite a distance, but he's a youngster, a man who will have a chance to challenge again in several seasons to come. The next World Championships will be 2 years from now, 1998 in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. Wearing bib 16 today, definitely the best American of the current season. Bob Powell gained bags of experience. Another man from Nantahala in North Carolina, a lovely centre to paddle at. Been in the sport, or in this sport, for some 11 years. United States champion of C1 for the last 3 seasons. In wild water, single Canadian.
Yes, Bob's a very strong paddler. He's a very big boy, and I've seen him in the shower.
Olaf Schwartz, 8 seconds ahead of Bob Powell, so that's a respectable opening section by him.
Yes, I think he's doing very well. The best American paddler, very strong, very, very big.
Yes, he's a 2-meter man, 85 kilos of power. And he's still looking good there, nice and strong, quick strokes. And trying to accelerate, which is good to see.
Yes, he should take it up towards the finish. He should be giving everything he's got there. I think they're very good paddlers. The Americans lack a little bit on fitness, but strong, very strong.
Also very difficult for them to get international competition, as it is for the Australians and the South Africans. It's a long way to travel. It's difficult to fly your boat. For all those people away from the heart of the sport in Europe, it's just that little bit more difficult. But this is a very good run, and he's going to take over 5th spot from John Willis of Great Britain. And that's respectable performance.
That's a very good time. I think he's done well to beat John.
Just trying to look at that performance there of Powell. It was slower than Willisy right at the beginning of the river, but he's stayed a little bit stronger.
John's had a few neck problems this week. He's strained his neck, so maybe he had to ease back a little. But a good result all the same for Bob.
Now Slovakia again, in the shape and form of Ladislav Danik. Just inside the top 20 in the World Cup rankings this season. Finished 17th in the world last year. And in 1993, when the World Championships were in Italy on the River Noce in Alle, he finished 13th. So it's been dropping back rather than moving forward in recent times.
I think they're having a lot of up and down in the former Yugoslavia, so you don't really know how good or bad they have their training facilities. But a very good paddler on the rough, as you see, pointing his boat towards the finish. Easing off a little, I think, but it's easy to say that when you're sitting here.
Good time, though, 4 seconds. In touch with Olaf Schwartz of Germany, who still leads the race from Petrick and Naden. Germany, Croatia, France at the moment in the top 3 positions. This man who's had 2 15th place finishes in the World Cup so far this season, so nothing spectacular, but his, like everybody else's preparation this year, has been built for this moment, this day.
Yes, everyone's peaking for this event.
So Danik dropping down. You can see how tightly packed they are. Suddenly he's only looking for 5th place. Bob Powell hoping that he's going to hold on to that, but I'm afraid Danik has just picked him. It's 30 seconds off the leader, which tells you a little bit about the quality of Olaf Schwartz's performance. Also tells you that Željko Petrić is in second place at the moment, but only by 0.71. But for that Eskimo roll, surely he would have led. Here's Rob Pumphrey, who is today the British #1.
Yeah, Rob is in an unstable boat here. He's taken a gamble because the river's dropped. He's going well through the rapid here. Left-handed paddler. Been very, very strong this year. Very fit, very confident. You have to have a lot of confidence to paddle the unstable boats down here.
This man who these days resides up in Sheffield, member of the Nottingham Kayak Club, and just see coming up to split time, which gives us a guide to us like 5.86 seconds. Well, if he was able to hold that deficit down to the end of the river, to be in second place.
I think the reason he's taken the unstable boat is to make up time on the lower half of the course, which is relatively easy.
This is a good performance here by Rob Pumphrey. Coming down now, he's still got a good couple of 100 meters to go. He's got a drive on now, chasing the second place man, Petrić, but you can see how tight it is. He's not going to catch him. Narden, though, a few more seconds for him to try and grab third place, but I fear, as you can see there, he's going to be looking for fourth now, but it's very, very packed.
Die letzten Meter auch er schafft es nicht unter 13 Minuten zu bleiben.
27 seconds. Not a bad run. I fear, though, Makoni might just be a little disappointed.
Rob Pumphrey, den Engländer.
So Schwarz from Petrić and Narden, and now we see Capsize for Croatia, another teenager, just 18. Real mixture of age range here. Labuda, who you saw earlier, 43 years of age. Here's a teenager.
Here you see him paddling through the Pians Rapid, the crux move of the river. This is where you can lose a lot of time. Very hard to make up any time. A cautious line.
Yes, the big stoppers, the hydraulics here, stoppaways rolling back towards you with enormous power.
He looks strong, though. I think he's looking very good.
Für ihn ist sicherlich noch zu früh.
It's just about seventh fastest at the moment. Schwarz certainly very quick off the start, very, very fast down the bottom of the river.
Einer der kommenden Leute. Die Zeit von Olaf Schwarz sehen wir da immer.
Again, one of many who's had a decent run. He's not going to get a medal.
Bei der Distanz, die neben Kajacic noch bis zum Ziel zurückzulegen hat.
These boats are fairly unstable. To make them race well, they make them as unstable as possible. Some are a little more stable than the others, but I think it's very deceptive how difficult this sport is.
Well, you can make them more stable by stiffening them up, and then you add the weights and pay the penalty another way. 26 seconds into fifth place. That's not a bad run at all. So it's Germany, Croatia, Schwarz, Petrić, Narden, Bataille.
Damit eindeutig das Tor zur Weltelite aufsteht.
Vit Sprudlik of the Czech Republic. Now this is a man who certainly has got the experience on his side. He's been in Canadian singles since 1987. He's a designer by trade. Just finished inside the top 20 at last year's Worlds. Head down, working hard, looking a wave or two, and got held there, lost it.
Made a mistake there. You see, he paddled backwards to get the boat on line. Not a stroke that you really want to do. It's one you're doing it in an emergency.
Just Just another one there that crept in. And that 5.62 seconds. But for those couple of mistakes there, it could have been 4.62.
He could have been up there.
Coming down, our water camera. Its sense of speed drives on there. Canadian canoe, 4 meters.
4.3 meters long and 0.7 of a meter wide, but they have a minimum weight restriction.
This is a good time coming in to depose Petric of the silver medal position. Might just miss out. The banner will give you an idea as we draw back. Now going for third. You can see he's just again going to be one of many who's going to miss out there. Faster men still to come. No prizes in the World Championships. Becoming fourth, fifth or further down. Chance as it has now become every 2 years to become world champion. There, the order, as it's been for a while now, France and Germany for Petric, Narden and Bataille. The only Swiss in today's competition. In fact, I should say misled there, that was Jan Stasny, Swiss Raoul Abraham still to come, apologies. This 26-year-old who comes from Pardubice, the home of the big horse race, the Czech Grand National, if you will.
A very strong man. They've got some very good boats in the Czech Republic now. They've got a very good manufacturer. These boats well up to the specifications of the French boats, who used to lead the world in manufacturing Kevlar carbon boats. As you see, pointed down towards the finish here, doing very well. Big, strong man. Slowing a little, maybe he's just picking his route there.
Yes, he's doing the move over to river right, just to correct there on the exit to Pians, but here's Stasny further down. Just competed in the last of the World Cup races, just to find out where he was before coming to Landeck. No real record in the World Championships, but again, not on for a medal. But they're all closely packed together. Should make the top 10 for the moment. Stasny coming down. Finish. You can see the difference here. One or two who chose completely the opposite side. They've hugged either river left or, more commonly, in the last 200 meters to stay absolutely dead central. He's come in from the right and crossed. Ninth place, 30 seconds off the leader. Germany's Olaf Schwarz still with a hand on the gold medal. Schwarz, of course, the man who finished fourth 12 months ago. Is he going to be denied again? There are those still to come who can push him off. And this is one of them. His own teammate, Stefan Stiefenhofer, 23 years of age from Cologne. Very useful man, the world silver medalist 12 months ago.
And here we see him coming down the rapid. He's a very, very strong paddler. I think he's here to win. Let's see how he does on the Pians, the most difficult rapid on the whole course. Boat going sideways slightly there. But like I say, you can lose everything here. This is the test of truth. Time trialing.
Very consistent the last 3 seasons. Third in the World Cup in '94, fourth last year, fifth this year. So always there or thereabouts.
Pushing the boat towards the finish there, looking very good.
But those little errors, and he has made errors in here in Pians. Once he gets through this section, he's really got to make up time. And remember, Schwarz was very strong.
He's a very fast paddler, though, Stefan Stiefenhofer. Once he gets on the relatively easier part of the course, I'm sure he'll open up and fly.
Well, I'm still impressed by Schwarz's time. There you can see it.
Yes, he's slow.
He's slow. He hasn't made that time up.
Very surprised there.
Daumen drücken, ob es geschafft hat, im zweiten Teil der Strecke noch Zeit gut zu machen.
Looking for second place, and he isn't going to get that, and I don't think he's going to get the bronze either. So the world silver medalist of 12 months ago in the individual event is not going to stand on the podium tonight here in Landeck.
12,
of course, he is a member of the German team who took the gold medal in the team events last year, and they'll be defending that title on Sunday morning, which you could see live on Eurosport once again. Kayaks tomorrow, teams on Sunday. Now, this is the only Swiss in today's competition. Raoul Abraham, proving 22-year-old from Brugg Kayak Club in Switzerland, 12th in the World Cup rankings.
He's a very likeable young man. I've met him quite a few times. Very nice guy.
Hasn't been paddling C1 all that long, though, 4 or 5 years.
No, not really. He's quite a young competitor in the sport. But if you watch here, looking very confident. He's pointing towards the finish, pulling hard. You see the wave went over his head there. It is really much harder than it looks. Don't try this at home, folks. Whoa, he's gone! Jesus!
There, he's over.
No, he's up. Well done, well done.
So there's the recovery there, the Eskimo roll, but that will have cost him at least a couple of seconds. Here it is, in the big water, just loses the concentration, over he goes, then uses the paddle to support, brings himself right up and over. And that is not easy in that section of water.
Very, very difficult, very hard. But as you see, he's really living on the edge there, throwing everything to the wind and just going for gold. But unfortunately, a stray wave threw him over. Done well to roll.
Coming down now towards the bottom section, Abraham. And that's really just looking at the split times. We've got a guide to that. You can see that will have done nothing for his focus and concentration.
He's trying very hard on his finish straight here, but like I say, you can lose everything on that Pians Rapid. Very hard to make time. You just want to pick your waves, pick your way down, keep the boat pointing towards the finish, and then open up on these lower straights.
So coming down to try and get ahead of John Willis, he doesn't do that. Dropping down now.
Deutschen Altmeister Ernst wieder zurück, 13, 21, 27.
I think that says everything about his performance there.
Endzeit 4 aber jetzt wird wieder die Trikolore geschenkt. Jerome Bonardel aus Frankreich ist
bronze medalist last year in the World Championships, the man who denied Olaf Schwartz that medal. Remember, it's Schwartz he's chasing now from the Vienne Canoe Club in France.
Jerome, the very strong paddler, very, very good technique. They've just been to a training camp in France for a month, so I'm sure he's very focused for this race.
Just talking to his managers last night, though, you can see that, don't worry about that, the clock just sorting itself out there. 7 seconds behind Schwartz. Now, we're now beginning to see that that's quite an important gap, because Schwartz did stay very strong. What I was going to say about Bonardel was that he's not the most confident man on big water, but they thought he was gaining confidence. This is a respectable run, but as you can see, he's going to miss out on the medals. He was 4th in '93 before getting that bronze last year, and at this time he's destined to finish, as you can see, in the top 10, but he might get pushed down a slot or two yet.
Platz Nummer 5 im Zwischenklassement.
32 on the start list, and this is Josko Kankler for Slovenia. This is a man who certainly could make a difference to the leaderboard. From Solkan, this 30-year-old who's been in the sport since 1978, so bags of experience.
He loves big water. He said to me he's going to enjoy this race. He's a very strong man. He came second in 1991 World Championships, and he didn't get selected for Bala because he said he's not very good on flat rivers, and so this must be his river. I'm sure he'll do very well.
Just looking at him coming down now.
Edelmetall
Kankler in touch, 1.44. Now that's just about the closest we've seen. It's right on terms with the leaders, with Schwarz, Petrick and Nardo. So if Kankler's put the training in over the winter months and in the spring, he could really be on course here for a result. This is a major sport in Slovenia. In the spring and summer months, massive support for them. Kankler going, look at this time, 12 minutes 20, and Kankler is flying down the finish here, and he really does have a chance to get amongst the medals. He's still got a way, the camera's foreshortening here, coming up to Schwarz's time. There you can see he's got a good 100 meters to go still. Is he going to get third place? Because he's not going to get the silver medal. He's just going to miss it, Macon.
Yes, I think Schwarz has put up a very, very good time for everyone to follow there.
Remember, he was just about 1.5 seconds off the pace, but that gap has widened to 18 now at the finish. When you get that close, you also get very disappointed when you learn your time.
Yes.
Another comeback man, this is Andrea Bernucci. Interestingly enough, the Italians haven't actually figured in the team event in C1 for many, many years, but they might this season with the likes of Panato and Spelli, their main two men, plus Bernucci, on this his solo attempt.
They only had 2 paddlers last year, so they couldn't do the team event. So they've drafted in this new boy.
Yes, just 20 years of age.
He's looking confident there. He's paddling down the right waves, not going sideways. Yes, he's looking strong. He's pulling. He's not loitering.
At 8 seconds, we now know that that's a little bit like eternity, but nonetheless, he's got 2 terrific paddlers to train and learn with. To have Vladi Panato and Mirko Spelli to train with, that's wonderful. If they can't bring you on, I don't know who can.
I didn't think he would win a medal, but I think he's a very strong paddler, very confident paddler.
Good chance for a team medal for them on Sunday, surely.
Yes.
Well, that should be looking for perhaps the bronze medal, which we'll be looking for.
I think anyone's in with the chance for the bronze.
So again, slipping down the... He's too far away from the line, but just looking back, he didn't compete in Valor, as you said. He was 17th on home Italian water in 1993. So this could be an improvement, certainly in terms of ranking. 1993, won by teammate Panato, the first of his 2 World Championships. This race, half the distance of last year's competition in Wales, but the power of the water here, much harder. You know you've been in a race here today. You're really tired. You get a good night's sleep after 2 minutes.
I'm sure he'll have a nice rest after this competition.
Now here's a paddler I really like. Good, nice man, Simon Hokovar, 22, former junior world slalom champion and junior world whitewater. He just loves this sport.
The Slovenians have some very good paddlers. They don't have hundreds of them as the French do, but they seem to have a very high caliber of paddler. As you see, enjoying paddling here. Likes the rough, pulls very hard. You can see when they enjoy paddling, they carry on paddling and pull hard. You see them disappearing there. The holes are very, very, very big.
3.10. I was just about to say, now that he is 22, we're now looking for him to translate that junior promise into senior achievement. Just wonder whether today might be the day.
I think his teammate who's following him will be the one to watch. I think he's a good paddler, but not quite up to the caliber of Slučik.
So,
worth remembering that this is a country which can put out a strong team as well. Slovenians last year in Ballack grabbed the bronze medal.
Das Ziel wird er nicht mehr erreichen. Er wird über die 13 Minuten kommen.
Moldova certain to be one of their number. Squeezes, well, just misses, in fact, the top 10. Looks over to the big scoreboard by his left-hand side there. Shake of the head.
Ganz knapp über 13 Minuten.
Here's the guy I think who's going to do very well.
Yes, the name, Primož Sulic of Slovenia.
A bit nervous there.
Just 18 years of age.
Aus Slowenien.
Fourth in the World Cup this year in the rankings, sixth in Ballack.
19 Jahre alt.
Pushing through the waves there. I think he'll definitely do well. He'll push his arms very hard. He'll push himself into the danger zone where his arms will go lactic and then ease off a bit and then go again. He won't coast down this river at all.
Working hard, getting a nice high but steady paddle rate in there. 2.73, that's in touch. Schwarz really burned his way down.
2,7 Sekunden auf Schwarz.
I think he was keen to make up for his lack of medals from last year.
Schwarz war, das bestätigt sich immer mehr.
Working hard, getting plenty of purchase, plenty of leverage in there. Coming centre river.
Und auch im Ziel.
Just looking for that fast tongue, which at this point is river right. You can see it there. See the water just moving that a little bit faster.
He's slow.
Well, relatively he is in terms of getting a medal. He is the last but one Slovenian. There is one more to come. Sulic.
Eine Medaille ist außerhalb der Reichweite für Sulic. Da war er so einer der Aspiranten. Aber 7. Platz im Zwischenklassement und so viele Folgen ja nicht mehr. Primož Sulic.
Thierry Deruino, another young man with a lot of promise. He's the younger brother of Christophe, who we'll be seeing a little later in the Canadian doubles. Former junior French slalom champion, switched last year from slalom into wild water. Big test. This is his first major international test.
Yes, the new boy in the French team. I'm sure he's a very capable young man.
Bit of a surprise. He was second in the selection trials, but he's got a really good feeling for water.
Yes, he's enjoying this. He has a slightly tippier boat than some of the other guys are paddling, but some of them are gambling on being able to paddle very hard. He's stalled a little bit there. Maybe he was just waiting for the boat to go where he wanted it to be. It doesn't always look logical from where we're sitting, but when you're on there, it's much harder than it looks.
Now live down towards the bottom here. You really can't afford to be behind Schwarz. Deruino sticking to his task manfully now.
Pulling hard. The finish always seems a long way away. The arms are solid lactate by this time.
This is a pretty horrible finish because you actually get sight of the banner a long way away, and it just accentuates how hard it is. I mean, it's a good 400-500 meters and you've got that banner and it's annoying, isn't it?
He's really going for that sprint to the finish. The only guy I've seen really open up.
Very close now. Can he get second? Don't think he can. Yes, he can. 45.71. Schwarz leads, but Deruino of France goes into second place. And Zelko Petric of Croatia is third. And Deruino has done a huge disservice to Samuel Nard, his teammate, who's now off the podium in fourth. Slovenia's Borut Horvat, 17 years of age. These men may not rule the waves today, but 2 years from now, the next championships in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, this group of young Slovenians may be the team to beat.
Slovenians always have strong paddlers, strong team event. They train hard together. They like the water.
The junior world champion of 1994 now looking for senior honours.
talking to himself on the river there. Normally you don't think of anything else when you're in that Pians Rapid. You're totally focused, don't think of anything else.
Normally here you keep your mouth shut as well. You're just as likely to get a mouthful of water.
Correct.
Picking his way there a little bit. Hasn't done that particularly quickly. There's the order. Germany and Schwarz lead. De Ruino of France is second. Petric in third place for Croatia.
Hinter Olaf Schwarz, dann ist den Deutschen auf jeden Fall schon eine Medaille sicher und das scheint sicher zu sein. Die Zeit von Schwarz kann er nicht mehr schlagen, 8 Sekunden nur noch, weniger.
Doesn't look as if we'll see a Slovenian flag on the podium today. But after Horvat come the big two for Italy. The two men who could change the future. But what this does mean is that if Horvat doesn't get a medal position, Schwarz, who was fourth last year, is guaranteed a medal. But what colour? Horvat drops to seventh, just ahead of teammate Kankler. And the order with two to go is Germany and Olaf Schwarz. De Ruino of France, Petric of Croatia. And it's De Ruino and Petric who'll be shaking in their shoes now with these two to come. The world champion for the past 2 years, Vladi Panato from Verona, making or looking to make it a hat-trick of success. The man who's been unbeaten in this sport for the past 3 years.
Very confident paddler, always strong, always knows exactly where he wants to be on the rapids. Totally focused.
Really eating up the water. Not since the great days of Gilles Zoc of France have we seen someone command the waves like this. Not in a single Canadian.
Picking his way nicely down the rapid there. Pointing the boat towards the finish, always. Yes, he's got it, he's got it.
He's a second up, but he will have got the message from the coaches, and he will be getting the messages down this course, the splits all the way to try and keep him up to the task. And look at this, Panato, this is by no means certain. This is a really hard drive he's got to put on here. Accelerating, trying to put in the quick blade strokes now. He's got, as you can see, just over 15 seconds in which to get home. This is going to be very tight. Schwarz has really thrown down a terrific time as Panato comes within touching distance of that banner. He's got less than 10 seconds now, coming up to 5 seconds to the banner. This is one of the tightest victories perhaps for Panato. He gets there, 3 seconds. All credit to Schwarz. He drops to silver, but the world champion goes into the lead. De Ruino drops to third, and Petric of Croatia is off the podium. One to come, and it's Panato's teammate.
Mirko Spelli, the only man who can touch him now.
Well, on the form book, you wouldn't suggest that Mirko should do it, although he was the fastest man in the non-stop. But that was the seeding race. This is the real thing.
Again, a very good paddler. Trains with Vladi, so they know each other very well.
Not as quick, little errors there. Not looking as confident as Panato was through this section.
Maybe the nerves have got to him on the day.
Panato has been World Cup champion for the past 3 seasons. Spelli slower, much slower. He's been runner-up to his teammate for the last 2 years in the season-long competition. 4.94. Now, that is a real challenge for him. And I don't think that he can do it. He was 7th in the world last year. He was 7th, in fact, in 1993 on home Italian water. So he could well get a better position, but he might struggle to get a medal. Now coming within the last 1 minute, the last 1,000 meters of the race now for Mirko Spelli. Like Vladi Panato, virtually a full-time paddler, supported by the Italian Forestale. Spelli now, well, he looks a little hesitant, but this is respectable, but is he going to miss out? Remember, it's very tight, just 3 seconds behind Panato is Schwarz. And then there's Petric, and there's very little between these men. De Ruino, I should say. He could get third. Now, could he get third third here. This will be a terrific. It would be so unfortunate for Deruno, but yes, he's going to do it, is he? Yes, he does. He gets third place. Mirko Quelli makes it an Italian 1-3 in the Canadian singles, with Olaf Schwartz of Germany was fourth a year ago, moving up to silver medal this time.
Und kämpfte sich noch vor in die Medaillenränge.
A very good result for him. He's been in Vladi Panato's shadow for quite a while now. And to get on the podium with him, I think, is a great boost. Very good effort.
Vladi Panato, Silber für
There it is,
Olaf
confirmation
Schwarz
that the
und
world champion
Bronze für
at the
Mirko
93 and 95 editions is now the world champion in 1996 to make it 3 in a row ahead of Germany's Olaf Schwarz, with Mirko Quelli of Italy taking the bronze medal, denying the young Frenchman Deruno. Further down you can see Horvat and Kankler of Slovenia, Sulic, all in a group there. Rob Humphrey of Great Britain in 15th place, 30 seconds. That's quite respectable.
I think Rob's done very well. He's been training very hard.
Here's the man who commands the Riversana in Landeck today. Panato, still the man to beat in the Canadian singles.
When you watch him training, he's totally focused, totally where he wants to be on the river. Very good paddler, very strong, very fit.
Vor Olaf Schwarz, der nach dem vierten Platz im Vorjahr hier auf der Sana in
Who's to say that it won't be
Tirol
4 in a row in Garmisch-Partenkirchen? Be looking to try and do what the great Frenchman Gilles Zoc did. He won in 81 in Bala, 83 in Murano, 85 in Garmisch and 87.
Für uns alle, auch für den Rekorder, von dem Sie hier diese Zeitlupe eingespielt bekommen. Studien aus diesem entscheidenden Streckenabschnitt,
Podium, Panato sitting on the top step,
wo so leicht etwas passieren
now
kann
invited to stand on it.
und wo so viele schon gescheitert sind. Ja, Start Nummer 14. Das ist Olaf Schwarz, der dort Silber gewonnen hat. Und alle warten sie jetzt noch auf den Bronzemedaillensieger, auf Mirko Quelli. Vladi Panato ruft da heran. Mirko
came close to defeating the whole field.
Schon auf dem Treppchen.
Just on the edge of picture there, just leaning in, Professor Sergio Orsi, the president of the International Canoe Federation.
Des Siegers.
An Italian from Florence, so delighted on a personal account to see his man at the top once again. Well, back on the form book once again has worked out, but that's a little tighter than we thought. Just 3 seconds separating the two.
I think Olaf Schwarz wanted the gold and tried hard for it. If you want it, you train for it. If you half want it, it'll show on the river. You'll see people who are half trying.
Well, these three men were certainly trying left to right. And the man getting the gold medal there, Vladi Panato. 3 golds in a row. Rather Almar to the left of Sergio Orsi, the man responsible for organising the championship. And then bronze medal to Mirko Quelli, teammate of Vladi Panato. His first World Championship medal.
Auf Platz 3 verdrängt Mirko Quelli.
3 top paddlers in this very difficult but very exciting sport. And as I say, you may not be able to get in one of these very tippy canoes, but you could easily come whitewater rafting. Confirmation again. Interim, of course, it is the unofficial result, but I think it's likely to stand. And spare a thought for young Deruno, he'll have other opportunities. What a good performance by him. If he'd got a medal, I think that would have been beyond all expectation.
For a young guy to get into the French team and immediately get a medal would have been amazing.
Experienced Kankler amongst the other 2 Slovenians, and a disappointing Stefan Stiefel for Germany in 12th place. So just coming into picture now will be the first of the Canadian doubles. Canadian doubles, there are 22 boats on the start list today. World champions are Alla and Sucic, but these are the two Americans. It's Charles Albrecht with Storia, two men from the western United States who set the pace 13:48.58, and Albrecht is in fact the oldest man in today's competition at 45. Second to start, the Ballstein brothers from the Czech Republic, Daniel and David, 23 and 19 years of age, respectively. And now you can see here the importance of this Canadian double boat. It's not just the paddling, it's the instinctive teamwork.
It's very hard to get down that rapid when there's two of you in the boat. If someone decides to do one thing and the boat's going another, the back person has to know what the front person's going to do.
Man in the bow setting the rhythm and the pace of the boat. But harmony, really important. And they're much quicker than the Americans who started the competition at almost 9 seconds up on the pace. That's predictable. Less tactics in the non-stop here. A couple of days ago, Ballstein and Ballstein set a new best time, 13 minutes 19.12. Britain's Dave Belbin and Ross Pearton. Should have been Dave Belbin and Phil Corn, two men who helped Britain to a bronze medal in the team event last year. But Phil Corn not in the boat. One or two, perhaps unkindly, would say that he wouldn't fancy this big water. But Ross Pearton, a man of bags of experience. It's Belbin up front, Ross Pearton at the back, coming in to try and make their mark.
Yes, they're a very late partnership, but doing well. They've been training very well together on the river all week.
Actually, it's quite a complicated story, this. It should have been Dave Belbin and then Mr. Parry, who were going to partner each other, and then Mr. Parry got injured, so Mr. Pearton came in. So it really has been an improvisation between these two men.
Yes, at least when I was injured, it was only me to answer to. But when you've got another person in the boat, it's not nice to have to let them down. But Dave is very strong in the front there. You see him gritting his teeth, pulling hard towards the finish.
Yes, he's an accountant by profession, and Ross Pearton behind him, civil engineer up at Hartford. Ross, 7 World Championship appearances. Just gives you a measure of his experience: 81, 83, 85, 87, 89 and 91, and they've taken the lead just outside 13 minutes there. But it's really, in every sense of the word, an untried and untested combination.
Yes, to have just a couple of weeks to get ready together, very difficult.
Croatia now, Mario Pecek.
Oh, they're over.
Yes, they are right on the entrance of the rapid. Very, very difficult coming off that little flat there. They're both out of the boat, and I'm afraid that's their day done in the safety go. They tried to use a lot of throw ropes here, which were a complete disaster here. And now they've had the rather more sensible idea of putting the rescue kayaks in, get onto the end of that, and take them into the shore. They've got the paddle. I hope very much that somebody's going to pick up the boat as well, because they are not cheap.
No, these boats are running about £2,000 each, so that will have hurt their feet, will have hurt their pride, and it will have hurt their boat.
Yes, it's bouncing around there on River Right. Oh, they'll be dreadfully disappointed. There's no harm done. They've had a little taste of sauna water.
Never nice to swim, though. A year's preparation.
Oh, that's good to see. This is not easy. This is all credit to the rescue. This is not easy for them and not nice for them to have to swim around in this stuff. There's a lot of uncomfortable boulders. All the changes during the night because of the rain has meant that when you go down here, it's very much like rock and roll. You can hear the stones under the water. Good job.
Yes, once that boat fills up with water, it's very hard to stop. It probably weighs best part of a ton.
These men, as with the Canadian singles, starting at 2-minute intervals. Now the British combination of Jim Ross, he's the man up front, and Paul Farr. This is what we call the service boat. The man up front is from the Royal Engineers down in Camberley. The man behind him picking up the rhythm from Lympstone in Devon, he's the Royal Marine. A heavy crew.
Yeah, these must be the heaviest. This must be the heaviest crew of the whole championships. They probably weigh about 32 stone between them. Very strong guys, very fit, but quite heavy. But they've been doing fine in training. They had a head-on crash in non-stop practice, which they didn't think was too good. So they've tried their second boat here. As you see, picking the boat down, pulling hard, going towards the finish. Very good, very good.
And just under 5 seconds behind their teammate. So they go down, early days, but
long way to go yet.
The British C2s going respectably well, but the big guns still to come as they leave the Pians Rapids. Coming down now on the lower section, we're live with them. Jim Ross up there in the bow. Not only is he a good wild water paddler, he's a very solid marathon man. He's a 15-hour man in the Devizes to Westminster, the 125 200-kilometre marathon. That's an annual competition. Easter next year, the 50th birthday of that particular competition.
You can just see the finish line all the way back there. So you can see the finish line from a long way off, and it's a long, hard straight.
Much nicer if you just come round the turn and find 100 metres, isn't it?
Yes, because you can give it everything for 100 metres, but when you can see it from 400 or 500 yards, it's very hard.
Eine neue Bestseite wird hier noch nicht fällig werden.
So still
bleiben in Führung.
Way to go in this Canadian competition. The early honours of the morning to the Italians, but who are going to be the champions of the Canadian doubles? Stay with us on Eurosport. We're going to pay the rent for a few moments, but then we'll be back with the rest of the action.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen liebe Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauer auf der Sanna bei der Weltmeisterschaft der Wildwasserkanuten. Diese beiden hier, Martin Smolka und Robert Kasik aus der Tschechischen Republik, sie haben gerade eine neue Bestzeit aufgestellt. Mit 12:56:41 waren sie die Ersten, die hier im Zweier-Kanadier unter 13 Minuten Nun ein weiteres tschechisches Paar auf der Strecke. Roman Morstein.
They had a slight wobble at the top there. The top entry to Pians Rapid, very difficult because it has a big rock right in the middle of one of the waves. I don't think you can see it from this camera, but there's a slalom pole hung over the waves to let people know not to go through it, because people have been stopped dead in there.
So here you can see the two Czechs rivalry there, but they're 5.18 seconds off Kasik and Smolka, their teammates.
Es läuft wohl heute hier.
And there's the early leaderboard, but a long way to go.
Sicherlich noch verändern wird. Es läuft heute hier an dieser Stelle etwas glatter als in den Tagen zuvor.
Balas Lucic of Slovakia, the men to beat today. They're very much the favourites to retain the title they won last year. Weiss and Roos of France, also two names to look out for, as well as last year's bronze medalist Dajet Knittel from Germany. This is quite an open competition. There are one or two men who haven't been in great form recently, and it's opened the door. Real possibilities here.
They're looking a little bit tired towards the finish there, puffing and panting.
Timing not quite right between the blades.
No, not going in together there.
Belbin and Peart Ross and Farr, and the Czechs have just pushed the British duo down to fourth place. Very difficult at the start here. The current really hard. As we see, the two Americans, Martin Bay and John Pignard, who both competed in the Worlds last year, came across to North Wales, finished 20th at the end of the day.
Oh, they're over. You don't want to do it like that.
Well, they're not the first in the Canadian doubles to do that. They've come out at exactly the same place as the Czech pair. Was it Baustein and Baustein, I think, came out there. And identical rapid, identical stopper. The men, they've got all right, and they've also managed to nurse that boat between them as well. A couple of £1,000 that boat.
The trouble is you just can't replace it. The fittings they have in their boat.
Just momentarily, I think you've lost the picture, but the men, I can tell you, are all right. The boat, in fact, there's one safety man hugging that boat, but the two men who come from Atlanta, I'm afraid they're going to be very disappointed with that. Martin Bay, who's in marketing, John Pignard, he's a man in charge of transportation down in Atlanta, so I hope he's going to get the traffic jams worked out for 6 weeks from now when we're all over there at the Olympic Games.
He could have hurt himself there.
Rocks underneath the water, pretty sharp. I think he's taken a bit of water on board, but he's okay. He's nodded there, that's good news. And these men, well, they deserve a beer at the end of the day, I can tell you. They may not save every boat, they do try their hardest to do it, but I think that's one that might have got away.
Very hard to stop a boat once it's full up with water.
Hopefully it'll get washed into a quieter eddy.
A lot of people have lost boats this year. In non-stop, 2 or 3 people lost boats. There've been a couple of people taken to hospital, so one of the hardest courses in the world, this.
Great Britain, the Clough brothers, Andy Clough up front, Ian Clough, a man behind. It's the community recreation officer ahead of the process engineer. That's how they earn their money, and they have to because they pay their own way out here. British team helped by Speedo, but by and large it's your own effort. These two men, 12th in the Olympic Games in Barcelona in the Canadian double, effective at both codes, and they're just under 3.5 seconds behind the early leaders Kazik and Smolka of the Czech Republic.
Yeah, they're very confident on the rough. They don't mind the rough water. You see the American boat there, totally written off.
Yes, you can see it's broken, its back is broken, and I'm afraid it's going to get worse as the minutes tick away. And the only consolation is they're going to save on the freight home, but that's not a piece of consolation they wanted.
No, to fit a boat out properly takes a fair few weeks to feel comfortable in it. Here they come towards the finish now. Looking strong. Paddling together.
Yes, the timing's good, but you'd expect that. These men who were 14th individually last year, but they were only 4th best amongst the British quartet and didn't make the team. And they'll certainly be wanting to get a good result to put that right today. But as you can see, they're now chasing Belbin and Pearton. Might still have, yes, they've got the better of them. Now, if you think about that, there's Clough and Clough, who've a seasoned partnership, and the two who are improvising together have got the better result.
The combination of Belbin and Pearton, very experienced. Though they've not been in the boat very long together, they had a cautious week out here, but they've got bags of experience.
The Blackman brothers again for Great Britain. It's Howard in the bow and Neil, the back man there. Ooh, and they're looking in.
Stalled there, stalled. It's a very hard rapid, that is. The entry, the hardest part. But they've got the boat pointed towards the finish again, and they're paddling together. They've just got to keep the boat moving all the time. You don't want to stall. Once it stalls, the water takes control and you're not canoeing.
Well, I think Neil's wife, Wendy's on the bank there at Pians, and I think she would have been yelling her head off at that particular moment. Sort it out, boys.
Yes, I'm sure. But they've got through now.
Lost time, though. Valuable time. 2 East Midlanders. Neil, the RAF man from Waddington, and the ski instructor setting the rhythm up front.
It's quite interesting to see who's going to be in the team event now, because Belbin and Pearton are winning at the moment out of the English crews.
Well, sometimes when you don't have expectations and you don't know any better, you just do the best you can, and sometimes it comes off. And it might be, in terms of the rivalry amongst the British duos, that might just be what happens. Completely uninhibited, unpressurized ride, and they produce the goods. Having said that, here come Blackman and Blackman to be the fastest British boat, and also to take the lead momentarily, perhaps 52.06 inside 13 minutes. There's only a couple of boats inside that time at the moment, and Great Britain lead.
Blackman übernehmen die Führung. Mit der Start Nummer 61.
Next it's the Soska and Soka. The Soska and Soska, they are brothers for Slovakia. Again, those waves really tight. You've got to be on that right-hand side. If you pull over too early on the left, you'll be in all sorts of trouble. Then you're trying not to go through the big waves, although that's mighty impossible around here, but just to find that fast line right on the edge.
The water does take control. You only have to lose it for a split second where your paddles are out of the water. The wave takes you left or right. There's not a lot you can do about it, but then after that is when you've got to pull it back together. But you've got to be in time, you've got to be coordinated, and you have to know the other person.
So here's Soska and Soska, and they are quickest so far at the Pians Rapid. And looking fairly solid as they now come past our water camera. Just perhaps now they're looking as if they haven't got too much petrol left in the tank.
It's a hard race. It always looks easier from up here.
They've gone very quickly, and perhaps that's the reason why. There's Blackman and Blackman's time at the moment, leading for Great Britain. A long way to go yet. 22 starters. Just the last starter wearing bib number 72, so we're approximately halfway through the field at the moment. Blackman and Blackman will be hoping for a momentary loss of conversation. It's going to be tight, this.
Letzten Sekunden und die letzten Meter.
Yeah, they're going to hold on to it.
Reicht nicht, knapp.
Very good effort by the Blackman brothers.
Indeed. Blackman and Blackman, who were 13th last year in the World Championships, could finish a place or two higher today. Germany's youngsters, Christian Andre and Patrick Driesch, the least experienced of their quartet. Having said that, the Germans, it's a long time since they were successful in Canadian doubles.
They seem to be doing well, this crew. They're paddling very hard together, pointing the boat always towards the finish here.
Have reasonable success in the teams. It's in the individuals, but they haven't taken the medals in recent years. Been dominated by the French and the Yugoslavs, and most recently the Slovakians.
Looking in time there, them two.
Coming down nicely, working hard. You would expect that. Very, very hard competition to get into the German team in the first place. And challenging now for the lead. Andre and Driesch at the business end of the race. Just 18.
Immerhin, sie haben unten aufgeholt, eine gute Zeit abgeliefert.
Patrick Driesch.
Und übernehmen die Führung. 43. Wer hätte das gedacht, nachdem sie bei der Zwischenzeit nur Fünfter waren. Aber dann haben sie Gas gegeben. Christian, André und Patrick Driesch übernehmen die Führung bei dieser Weltmeisterschaft im Zweier.
The French sponsor Electricité de France for the French combination of Christophe Deruino and Rudolf Edin. Two men from Poitiers, 24 and 23. They're the best youngsters of the French team. You've just seen the best of the young Germans. Well, this is the best of the young French. Having said that, back on, these two men had a nasty swim here 2 weeks ago when they did the final training camp.
Yes, it's a very difficult river. You only have to lose it for a second, and the results are disastrous. But they seem to be paddling well here. The French always have very good Canadian paddlers.
Good time, yes. 7.12. Now that is a big bite out of the leader's time.
Gulping in the air there.
So certainly, from what we've seen, that swim has had no nasty psychological effects. They've got on with the job, and they really, it's not too pretty, but it's pretty powerful.
You can't think of the negative side, otherwise you wouldn't do this sport.
And look at the time here. This does look as if they've got enough in hand to take the lead here from André and Driesch. The camera pulls back to show the distance they've still got to go. Driving on nicely, but I think they've got enough in hand here. Fourth in the World Cup rankings this season. They've been in decent form. 8th in Alla last year on the Turin. 12.67 seconds, that is a good result.
Also wieder eine neue Bestzeit.
We're going to have to wait and see. But if that's the fourth French boat, in other words, the first one to start, I wonder what we've got to come from the rest. The best of the Czechs, Mrazek and Krij. Not too much form from these two this year to judge themselves on. The Canadian doubles World Cup competition has hardly been a competitive affair, with only 7 crews getting a ranking. The World Cup, the season competition, under some criticism for its format. There was a fairly volatile meeting last night to discuss the future, and there's a continuation of that tonight.
These paddlers are looking good though. They're coming down looking as if they want to get to the finish.
Und auch hier gut unterwegs.
But they've got almost 8 seconds to find. Just about half the river. Not quite, in fact they're not quite at halfway. There's 1 or 2 interesting rapids which unfortunately we can't show you.
All the way down there's tricky stuff that doesn't look much, but when you're tired, when your arms are full of lactate, they're pretty hard work. Pushing towards the finish here. Pulling hard, pulling together. It's a nice river. It's very fast flowing. It's a nice sensation being out there.
Kämpfen die Kanuten nur auf der Regattastrecke und zum 3. Mal in der olympischen Geschichte überhaupt im Slalom.
So Deruino and Edin are still the men to beat. As these two come down, looking to try and depose the Germans, currently in 2nd place.
Schaffen sie es, den Deutschen auf Platz 2 abzunehmen? Ganz knapp.
Oh, yes.
Oh, 3000.
Just a little bit deceptive. The banner not exactly in the same line as the beams, and they just get there. So the French now are down. Well, I should say the Germans are down into 3rd place.
Alco und Richard Jacquemont.
2 experienced Frenchmen, Pascal Halko and Richard Jacquemet. Alle France on the bank there, a French tremendous strength in depth.
These are very good crew. Pascal Halko used to be a C1 paddler and then made this partnership.
Yes, just to emphasise that point, Pascal's the man up front, Richard the man behind. Pascal, 11th in the C1s in 1991, 13th in 93, he was actually 12th in 1989, and he got team gold and team silver, so he's a very, very useful convert, very good pilot.
Yes. They seem to make that look easy.
Together, though, in the world, 7th last year would just to be about their best.
Dafür, dass sich die beiden
great paddlers. They don't do a huge amount of whitewater work, but I tell you what, they've got a terrific eye for reading the river. And look at
die Einblendung stimmt natürlich.
We're looking now. We can see Duo Knittel coming down here. So
that's Pascal and Jacome.
Just seeing 66 given the time there. But it does look as if it's the Frenchman. We'll try and give you that time. Pascal Jacome. Yes, they're in the lead, 12:28, but
das
that clock telling you that the Germans that are following are going pretty quickly as well.
Für die Franzosen, für Alco Jacquemont.
So Pascal Jacome.
Da war die Technik etwas durcheinander geraten, weil sie den Start in Aufzeichnungen nachgeliefert bekommen. Denn jetzt ist unterwegs
German team
der
took the silver medal.
Andreas Dajek und Ulrich
engineer and the butcher. It's Andreas, he's the engineer, he's up front, and Ulrich Knittel, the butcher, at the back.
Medaillenhoffnung des DKV, Weltcup Dritte. Weltcup-Sieger waren sie 1994 im vergangenen Jahr bei der WM als Sechste.
Good acceleration, and you saw both men really speed it up in time. A couple of correction strokes there, but again the harmony maintained.
Weltmeisterschaft und Silber
they're paddling quite well together there.
Mannschaft.
As the results show from last year, they're very fit. Let's just hope they can do it on the rough.
Und im unteren Stück,
absolutely packed together.
Schon des Öfteren gesehen, kann gut noch
pushing that boat around a little bit. Looks like he's not on the line he wants to be.
Andreas Dajek und Ulrich Knittel gut
unterwegs. The finish now.
Getting really good extension there. And the team they're trying to take over from Alco and Jacome with that very useful time of 12:28.21.
Und schwer zu schlagen. Hinter von der und mit 12:31.76.
In the stern there. 4 team goals, but this combination
die letzten Meter, aber sind noch 10 Sekunden etwa. Das könnte eine neue Bestzeit geben für den Fulda Express, der in den vergangenen Jahren auch immer so stark unterwegs war. Und es ist eine neue Bestzeit, 12:22.02. Das ist im Moment das Maß aller Dinge bei dieser Weltmeisterschaft in Zweier-Kanadier. Andreas Dajek, 31 Jahre alt, ein Bauingenieur, und Ulrich Knittel, ebenfalls 31 Jahre alt, Fleischermeister, überaus erfolgreich in den vergangenen Jahren und auch hier auf der
Knittel for Germany, ahead of the 2 French combinations.
Platz Nummer 1
Alco and Jacome, and then Deruino and Edin, who are currently in 3rd place. And really burning off the start there. The French combination of Dominique Laurent and Jean.
Oh, his medal's up in it. Oh, my word, they're over.
Well,
that is a surprise. That is a surprise.
Well, the French sometimes regard these two as the crazy duo. They go for an awful lot, and they've gone for the big swim this time. And that is their race done. The boat is gone. The men will be all right. I'm pretty confident of that. But that's a real surprise for the 2 men from Poitiers, who finished 6th in the world 12 months ago. And there's another boat headed for the graveyard.
Very unfortunate error. It's a very difficult rapid leading into that Pians. There's rocks in it, it's changing every day. There's been rain every night almost, changing the river every day. You come down, you have to practice, and you have to look out for those rocks. Very difficult rapid.
Well, I tell you what, those rescue men, I think they've got this one, and I hope those 2 Frenchmen find them and take them down the local bar tonight and bar them a beer, because these 2 men have tried a lot of different boats. You can see how bruised and battered around. If that's a picture of a really nasty swim.
Yes. Shows you how difficult it is. Once you've come out of your boat, you have no control. You can see that they're still trying to stop the boat now.
This is relentless white water. There's hardly any flat water in the whole of this course. There are a lot of courses where you get flat water, rapids, pools, rapid pools. The style of this river is white water of a varying degree all the way down.
A very steep river.
So that's the leaderboard. Germany, France, Ruzek and Krejcikov, Czech Republic in fourth. Blackman's now sixth, 30 seconds off the pace. Still could get a top 10 finish. Made those few mistakes at Pians, but there are few who've been faultless through there.
It's a very difficult rapid to get well.
Now another German threat, two men from Mannheim. The banker, Wolfgang Kennel, he's the man setting the rhythm up front. And behind him, Peter Müller, the joiner, who a couple of years ago was world champion in the quadrathlon. Just at the moment, they're just focusing on one sport.
You have to be totally focused on this rapid. Don't think of anything else.
Runner-up in the last 3 World Cup races of the current season. 4th last year in the World Championships. 5th a couple of years ago in Italy. 2.63 behind the French. That's not impossible. Remember, De Ruino, they're not the leaders of the competition. It's Dajek and Knittel who lead. And Kennel Müller trying to oust their teammates. At worst, this looks like a German 1-2 for the moment.
Das gibt natürlich auch sehr viel Hoffnung für den Mannschaftswettbewerb,
20th edition of the Wild Water World Championships. Just by half a second, they miss out. And Dajek and Knittel stay in command. Kennel and Müller go second. And Halko and Jacquemet are third. And De Ruino and Edino off the podium. But here are the man who finished in silver medal position last year. Damien Fass up front, Pierre Roos, the man behind. Terrific, very popular combination.
See, they were leaning on their paddle as well. It's a difficult first part of the rapid to get through. They've got through okay.
Junior world champions in 1988, world champions in 1993. But these two men, they've had a problem this year. Damien up front, he's works for General Motors in Strasbourg. It's a full-time engineering job. They just haven't had the time this year. They've had just about a month of whitewater experience. So if they do anything like getting a medal, it'll be terrific.
They're a very good crew. I'm sure they'll do a very good race. Whether they can win, I'm not sure.
Well, the interesting thing also, it's Pierre Roos's 26th birthday tomorrow, so a result here would be a nice present.
And to win the team gold tomorrow would be even better.
Sunday,
sorry.
No problem, but you can see the kayak races tomorrow on Eurosport, men and women, and those team events on Sunday morning.
You can see them here finishing now, really working hard. One of the best crews to watch finishing. They're pulling together, pulling hard. Absolutely nothing left in their arms here.
This is good stuff, challenging Dajek and Knittel. Coming down the banner tantalizingly away from them. The French really roaring them on.
Die letzten Meter, die Zeit ist exzellent. Das könnte eine neue Bestzeit werden. Und es ist eine neue Bestzeit. 12:17:37. Es ist ein Zweikampf zwischen Franzosen und Deutschen.
Paddle to the line. Great blade work by these two men. Didn't panic in Pians. That's the experience. This is the reward.
Hat sich wieder verändert. Sie haben die Führung übernommen. Damien Fass und Pierre Roos. Neue Bestzeit für die beiden. Vor den beiden deutschen Booten.
The Slovakians to follow are not bad paddlers themselves. They're very fit, very keen to win. You have to be keen to win.
Well, at the moment, there are 3 crews still to come as Fass and Roos lead the world in the Canadian Doubles Wild Water Championship. This is the second string, and I don't mean that impolitely. They're very good paddlers. The world champions, though, follow these two.
Beide in Sesia in Italien und beim Finale im slowenischen Bobec.
140, that's in touch.
It's not a long way off. You can easily make that up in the next 200 or 300 yards.
Die sind insgesamt jetzt ja
a moment of hesitation there. Now they switched out river right. And look at this. You can see the acceleration on, but it really is a sustained burn that you need to put in here. The arms are really burning and aching. And this is a terrific time, 11:53. My goodness, if this is the second string, what are their teammates going to produce? Still, it's going to be quite close, but I fancy Feist and Roos are going to hold on to this. One or two of the Germans might be shaking in their shoes, though. Coming down.
Just missed it.
Just missed it. Dajek and Knittel are pushed into third, which means that the other two Germans, Kennel and Müller, are now off the podium.
C2 is the only class that has very few changes in boat design.
The world champions start their challenge to retain the title they took in Wales last year. It's Vladimir Vala, brilliantly individual paddler before he teamed up in a C2. 33 years of age, he's up front with Jaroslav Slucic in the back. And these two men, the other thing that they have in common is they love fast cars, but at the moment it's all about fast paddling.
Yeah, they'll start fast, they'll paddle fast, and I'm sure they'll finish fast.
Yeah, Vala, as I said up front, the world silver medalist in 1989 in the World Championships in the USA on the Savage River in Western Maryland. Half a second behind the fastest men to that point, so that's still within reach of the leaders, Feist and Roos. These two men are not going to give this up easily. They haven't done anything to speak of in the World Cup this year. They were the World Cup champions last year, I should say, but they've come to this with a very quiet preparation.
This is their only goal for the year.
11:48 now. That's just a little bit quicker than their teammates who preceded them, and remember, their teammates are in second place at the moment. So Vala and Slucic trying to take the honour away from the French. Bruno Boyer, Francois Bouchard, the two men in charge of the French team, look on here with serious concern. And well, they might, because the world champions have got there by 1.5 seconds. The splits given by the team coaches all the way down the course, absolutely vital. And I have to say, the Slovakian coaches so far have done it absolutely perfectly.
To win by such a small margin is phenomenal. If you think they're racing down rapids, 4.5 kilometers of rapids, and to win by a second, phenomenal.
So the only two men who can change the history of this race, and they're way out to their left, more left than we've seen a lot of crews. This is Gregor Simon up front with Stefan Eich at the back for Germany. From Bonn, the policeman up front, the decorator behind. Third in the world in 1993, but dropped to fifth last year.
That's a very wet route, that route. But maybe they got thrown there and had to take it, but they're pulling hard still. They keep going, pointing the boat towards the finish, paddling in time. Very strong German crew.
But you can see here that they're well down. They're going to have to really find some turbo to put them in contention. So far, it's looking like a Slovakian gold medal with a French silver. It could be a Slovakian bronze as well.
Could well be. That would be an excellent result for them.
Well, it would just show how much the youngsters have learned from the Masters.
Yes.
Just looking a little laboured. And they're not going to do it. No, they're just a little bit too far out. It's the minor medals they're going for here. Simon and Eich, bronze medalists in 91 and again in 93. They've had 3 gold medals as member of the German team, but that elusive individual gold has gone. Now they're challenging for bronze, and that's gone as well. And so there's no German happiness in the Canadian doubles. Once again, individually, they find themselves bettered by other teams in the world. But my goodness, what joy there'll be in the Slovakian camp tonight. And I must say, hats off to Fais and Roos. I think if they'd had a bit more training, well, that 1.5 seconds could so easily have been turned round. But take nothing away from the Slovakians, the world champions of last year, worthy winners this time. That's the closeness of it. A 1-3 for Slovakia. Darjik and Knittel, the best of the Germans, ahead of Kennel and Muller, with Simon and Ike, the other three, frustratingly in 4th, 5th and 6th. Then 2 more French crews. Further down, you can see the Blackmans, who were 13th last year, move up to 11th. A little bit better. They made a few mistakes in Pians, but for those, they might just have been 10th. But that's a fair result. Clough and Clough, I think, disappointing. Belbin and Pearson never really paddled together. That's respectable down in 15th, and I hope they get a team place. They should do, because they've beaten Ross and Farr.
I think there's a lot of excitement to come with the team racing.
And there's that American boat, the Bay and Pignard, that was pinned early on the Pians rocks. And the rescuers have got there, but I'm afraid it's all too late, and that's one for the scrapyard.
I'm afraid so. A lot of money down the river there.
£2,000. You might console yourself with more than a beer to just blank out the memory tonight.
Unfortunate, but that's the way it goes with whitewater racing.
Well, 2 terrific races. Enjoyed it, Macon?
I think I would have preferred to be out there, but injuries are injuries.
Yes, well, I can understand that, but I'm very grateful for your insight and comment this morning. I think we've seen worthy world champions in Panato and the Slovakians Valla and Slucic.
Kampf mit den Wassergewalten. Das sind sie, die alten und
just
neuen
a size of those waves. You can really see it here in the slow motion provided by our host broadcaster, Mr. Lucky Schmidt-Leitner, who's got lovely pictures of Pians this morning for us, and his colleague, Mr. Werner Hexler. Hats off to them on what has been a lovely opening day of competition at Landeck. Now to the podium for the honours. They were pretty shy last year in Wales. They almost didn't expect to win. I wonder whether they're going to be a little bit more relaxed, the Slovakians, this time, and drink it in.
You can never expect to win. If you expect to win, you won't pull hard. You've got to want it. Face and Roos, though, must be disappointed. Such small gaps. That is the nature of the sport. You win by a second, you lose by a second.
Absolutely. You know, it makes you wonder that, had we got on the river another 2 weeks before, have we? But 1.5 seconds, I mean, that's a tremendous performance, and I hope they're, whilst disappointed, inside themselves, know that they've actually accounted and acquitted themselves well.
Yeah, to come second isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. Top 10, even, you know, anyone in the top 10 had a good day, could have won.
Nice sportsmanship between all of the medalists. Uli Feldhoff, just through your picture there, the president of the German Canoe Federation, vice president of the International Canoe Federation, making sure that everyone is correctly dressed for the medal presentations. And I think quite nice to see this happening immediately. On go the medals there to Vladimir Valla and Jaroslav Slucic.
Doesn't look like a happy man.
And
Damien Fass and Pierre Roos with the silver. And now the other 2 men, the other 2 Slovakians, almost forgotten in this, Jan Sutek and Stefan Grega of Slovakia. That's a first World Championship medal.
Yes, come third is a great achievement.
Excellent achievement.
Mr. Vladimir Valla, you are the newest champion here in Landeck. What do you think about the race?
I think this race for us very, very good, but we make some mistakes, 4 or 5, but we are in. It's good.
You're lucky?
Yes, very well.
But I hope it's not your last championship.
Hoffentlich ist es nicht ihre letzte Meisterschaft.
Well, I can tell you one thing, our colleague there, Osman Balzaki, trying to get a few words out of the defending champions who've retained their title there. They're men of few words, but on the water, their paddles speak volumes.
I don't believe in luck, though. You make your own luck in whitewater racing.
Thank you, Mr. Damien Face, the second place. It was a hard race for you.
Damien Face.
Nous avons fait une assez bonne course. Malheureusement, on a senti un petit peu l'eau dure sur nos pagaies. Et quand on sent un petit peu l'eau dure, ça veut dire que physiquement, on n'est pas complètement là. On a fait une très bonne course. On n'a fait aucune sortie de route, aucune trajectoire. Mais il nous manquait un tout petit peu.
A fair course, a good course.
On vole par-dessus l'eau.
Not really making any excuses, but I think
they have lost the time.
They both knew that.
Je pense pas qu'on ait fait, on n'a pas fait de faute particulière. On a simplement été un tout petit peu en course physiquement. On récupère régulièrement les. En tout cas, je pense que nous on a fait une course très régulière en vitesse. Peut-être que les chronos intermédiaires nous le confirmeront.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stefan Greger. Third place for you and your partner. You are lucky.
Stefan Greger.
I said it was a Corinthian sport, Macon. Here are two young men who I don't think ever necessarily thought that they would get off the podium. And lost for words, certainly in English. That's pretty tough.
Ich nehme mal an, er freut sich.
Bemused, but good on them.
Yes, so the honours of the day going to Italy in the shape and form of Vladi Panato, who wins his third individual single Canadian title with teammate Mirko Spelli in third place, divided by a superb German challenge from Olaf Schwartz. And now Valla and Slucic retain their world C2 title ahead of Damien Fass and Pierre Roos of France. So, a superb day from the Austrian Tyrol. I hope you've enjoyed the action. As you can see, coming up, we've got the men's and women's kayaks. In fact, it'll be the other way round. The women will go first, the men will go...